The station hummed quietly, the gentle vibration of machinery flowing through the floor like a heartbeat. Lieutenant Marcus Hale walked down the corridor, his boots making soft echoes. He had been stationed at the Interstellar Academy for nearly 5 years, training cadets from dozens of alien worlds. Humans were few in number compared to the other species, but they always surprised everyone. Marcus knew this, and today would be another example of it. In the training hall, cadets were stretching, groaning, and preparing for the day's exercises. Zira, a young alien from the watery world of Elora, was already sitting on a bench massaging her back. Her forearms moved carefully over her shoulders and lower back, trying to ease the stiffness from last night's training. "I still can't sit comfortably after training last night," she muttered to herself. A nearby cadet from the rock-like planet Goric chuckled, but Zira ignored him. She was annoyed with her own body. Her species was built for swimming and floating in water, not climbing steep rocky surfaces or running through obstacle courses. Humans, on the other hand, seemed to do everything with ease, and she couldn't understand how. She glanced at Marcus, who was observing the cadets with a small smile. Marcus noticed her frustration and approached. "Good morning, Zira," he said calmly. "Still sore from yesterday?" Zira sighed. "Yes, I don't understand how you humans can survive your training. My whole body hurts." Marcus chuckled softly. "Humans have a habit of pushing through discomfort. You'll notice we often complain, but we keep going. It's not just our muscles, it's our mindset." Zira tilted her head, intrigued. "Mindset, you mean? We could learn that?" "You can try," Marcus replied, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "But first we have to get through today's exercises. They're not going to get any easier." The cadets moved to the training floor. The room was enormous, stretching hundreds of meters with adjustable gravity and terrain that could simulate any planet. Obstacles rose from the floor, rocky slopes, swinging beams, and narrow ledges. Energy fields pulsed intermittently, adding a level of difficulty that tested both agility and strategy. Marcus led the human cadets to the starting point. They looked ready, calm, and collected. Zira watched them carefully, noting the steady breathing and focused expressions. Humans didn't look nervous. They didn't flinch at the moving platforms or the pulsing energy beams. They simply adapted. The first challenge began. Cadets had to climb a steep incline while carrying heavy crates. Zira's arms shook as she tried to grip the rocks. Her fourth arm kept slipping on the smooth surface, and she struggled to keep her balance. Beside her, a human cadet named Elena lifted her crate with a firm grip, stepping up steadily, never losing balance. Zira groaned. "How are they so strong?" she whispered to herself. Marcus approached, observing her carefully. "It's not just strength," he said quietly. "Notice how they adjust each step, how they use their weight to balance. Humans don't rely only on muscles. We think about every movement. That's what helps us survive situations like this." Zira nodded slowly, trying to pay attention. She copied a human cadet's movements, using her weight more carefully, shifting her center and bracing herself with each step. It helped slightly, but her body still protested. The next challenge was more mental than physical. Cadets had to navigate a maze of moving walls while maintaining speed and accuracy. Panels lit up with symbols that needed to be pressed in the correct order. Time was limited. The aliens panicked at first. Their long limbs or unusual forms made them slower to maneuver. Zira's forearms got tangled as she tried to press the panels quickly. Humans, in contrast, moved with purpose and calm. They didn't rush blindly. They studied each section, remembered patterns, and adapted when the walls shifted unexpectedly. Zira began to understand a new idea. Humans weren't necessarily stronger than everyone else, but they combined strategy with endurance. They didn't give up when a path seemed impossible. They tried, failed, adjusted, and tried again. The training continued for hours. Cadets ran across simulated lava fields, crawled under narrow energy barriers, and lifted obstacles that were heavier than anything Zira had tried before. Each time she felt she couldn't continue, a human cadet would pass by with a word of encouragement. "Keep going," they would say. "You're doing fine." Their energy wasn't just physical, it was contagious. At one point, Zira stumbled and almost fell into a pit of simulated molten rock. Marcus reached out with a steady hand, helping her regain her balance. "See? You almost gave up, but you recovered." That's what humans do. We fall, we get back up, and we learn from it. By midday, Zira's body was aching and she could barely move without wincing. Yet something had changed inside her. She was no longer only frustrated. She was curious. She wanted to understand how humans survived these challenges. She wanted to be able to push herself the way they did. Marcus noticed the change in her expression. "You're thinking too much about your pain," he said gently. "Focus on what you can control. Your movements, your decisions, your attitude. Pain is temporary. The ability to continue, that is what lasts." Zira nodded, breathing heavily. She moved with more purpose, paying attention to her body and the environment. Slowly, she managed to complete the next set of obstacles. Though her arms were stiff and her legs trembled, she felt a small sense of accomplishment. As the day drew to a close, the cadets gathered for debriefing. Zira sat quietly, still rubbing her sore back. Humans chatted among themselves, laughing softly, sharing tips and offering small words of encouragement to the alien cadets. Zira watched them and realized that humans' endurance wasn't just physical. It came from teamwork, observation, and an unwavering determination not to fail. Just as they were about to leave, an alarm blared across the station. Red lights flashed and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. A rogue asteroid was approaching the station, its trajectory dangerous enough to threaten the lower decks. Panic spread quickly among the alien cadets. Many had never experienced an emergency like this. Their long limbs shook and their eyes widened in fear. Humans reacted differently. Marcus immediately took charge, directing cadets to safety zones and assigning tasks with calm authority. "Elena, stabilize the energy shields." Marcus checked the lower deck. "Everyone else follow the evacuation protocols," he ordered. His voice was steady, confident, and clear. Zira watched in astonishment as the humans moved efficiently, guiding the panicking aliens and solving problems as they arose. When an alien cadet accidentally tripped over a control panel, a human quickly assisted, improvising a solution to prevent further damage. The aliens struggled to keep up while the humans seemed to thrive under pressure. Zira's eyes widened. She had thought humans were only physically tough. Now she saw something more important. Humans remained calm, adapted quickly, and worked together, even when everything seemed to be falling apart. She realized that human strength was more than muscles. It was their ability to think, act, and endure, even in the most challenging circumstances. By the end of the day, the asteroid's path was redirected safely, and the station was secure. The alien cadets, exhausted and frightened, looked at the humans with newfound respect. Zira's soreness had not gone away, but her mind had opened to new possibilities. She wanted to learn, to push herself, and maybe someday to match the resilience she had witnessed. As she stretched her stiff back one last time, she muttered again, "I still can't sit comfortably, but I think I understand humans a little better now." Marcus walked by, giving her a small nod and a smile. He knew she had taken the first step toward learning the greatest human trait of all, endurance that combined mind, body, and spirit. And for the first time, Zira didn't mind the pain. It was a reminder that she was growing, learning, and stepping closer to understanding a species that thrived against impossible odds. The training hall, once a place of dread, now felt like a space of possibility. She looked at Marcus and the human cadets, determined to keep going, no matter how uncomfortable it became. The station still vibrated softly, but now the hum of machinery carried an urgent tone. The rogue asteroid had been redirected, but minor structural damage had occurred and some systems were unstable. The cadets, exhausted from the day's physical training and the emergency alert, were still recovering. Zira sat on a bench, her limbs stiff and sore, thinking about how humans handled the crisis. She had never seen such calm under pressure. Marcus walked by, surveying the room. "Zira, I need you to come with me," he said firmly but kindly. "I have a task for you." Zira blinked, surprised. She was tired and her body ached in places she hadn't thought possible, yet she stood, determined not to show weakness. Humans had taught her that effort mattered more than comfort. Marcus led her to a control console in a less damaged section of the station. "We need to inspect the lower decks," he explained. "Some alien cadets panicked during the emergency and may have made mistakes in the system. We need to fix it before any real damage happens." Zira nodded, her curiosity stronger than her fatigue. She followed Marcus carefully, stepping over small debris and moving through the corridors where warning lights blinked. Humans moved steadily, never rushing, never panicking. She realized that their calmness was not a lack of urgency. It was a focused effort to do the right thing. When they reached the lower deck, the scene was chaotic. Alarms were still sounding, and a few alien cadets were frozen with fear. A panel was sparking slightly, and wires were loose from a hasty repair attempt. Zara's stomach tightened. She had never seen this kind of stress up close. Marcus stepped forward, assessing the problem. "Zyra, can you hand me that tool?" he asked, pointing to a multi-purpose repair device. Zyra quickly retrieved it, careful not to fumble. Marcus worked efficiently, connecting wires and stabilizing the panel. He explained each step as he worked, keeping Zara engaged and attentive. "Notice what I'm doing," he said calmly. "We don't just fix things randomly. We think about cause and effect. We plan, even under pressure. That's how humans survive in emergencies. We stay calm, we assess, and then we act." Zyra nodded, watching carefully. She handed him tools as he requested, and even helped reconnect a few wires under his guidance. Her forearms, though awkward at first, became surprisingly useful. She realized that humans' mental endurance, their ability to remain focused under stress, was as important as physical strength. Suddenly, a small fire broke out in an adjacent compartment. One alien cadet panicked, pressing random buttons on a control panel. Sparks flew and smoke began to fill the corridor. Marcus reacted instantly. "Zyra, activate the suppression system," he ordered. Zyra hesitated for a fraction of a second, remembering how chaotic everything seemed earlier. Then she took a deep breath, remembering what Marcus had taught her about focus and calm. She pressed the correct sequence and a burst of foam extinguished the flames. The panic subsided and the other cadets stared at her in surprise. Marcus smiled. "See? You stayed calm, followed procedure, and solved the problem. That's human endurance in action, and now it's yours too." Zyra felt a thrill of pride even though her body ached. For the first time, she understood the deeper reason humans could endure so much. It wasn't only their muscles or agility. It was their ability to think clearly, to work as a team, and to remain persistent even when everything seemed impossible. Over the next few hours, the cadets worked together to repair the lower decks. Humans led, instructed, and demonstrated, while Zyra and the other aliens learned and assisted. Every task was a chance to observe, to adapt, and to apply lessons. Zyra found herself moving more confidently, making quicker decisions, and even improvising solutions when small problems arose. At one point, a human cadet noticed a structural beam that had been slightly bent during the asteroid's near collision. It could have caused a collapse if left unchecked. Without hesitation, the human grabbed a stabilizing tool and corrected the beam. Zyra watched, fascinated by how quickly they assessed the danger and acted. She realized that humans did not waste energy on worry. They used it on solutions. When the repairs were nearly complete, Marcus gathered the cadets for a final assessment. "Today we faced challenges you didn't expect," he said. "You learned that endurance is not just about strength, but about focus, persistence, and teamwork. Humans excel in these areas because we are trained to adapt and think under pressure, but anyone can learn it if they choose to." Zyra looked around at her fellow cadets. Some were exhausted, some anxious, but all were inspired by what they had seen. She felt a sense of determination she had never known before. Her body still ached and she still couldn't sit comfortably, but her mind was sharp, and her spirit was alive with a new understanding. As the station lights dimmed to indicate the end of the day, Zyra approached Marcus. "Lieutenant," she said, her voice tired but confident, "I still hurt everywhere, but I think I understand humans better now. I want to keep learning, to get stronger, not just for me, but to help in situations like today." Marcus smiled warmly. "That's the right attitude. Pain and discomfort are temporary, but the lessons you learn last forever. Keep practicing, keep observing, and you'll grow stronger in body and mind." Zyra nodded. She watched as the human cadets shared tips with the aliens, explaining techniques, demonstrating exercises, and offering encouragement. There was laughter, gentle teasing, and camaraderie. It was a moment of connection, a reminder that endurance and resilience were not just individual traits. They were shared through teamwork and mutual respect. Before leaving the training hall, Zyra stretched her sore back and legs. "I still can't sit comfortably," she muttered with a small smile. "But maybe that's a good thing. It reminds me that I'm learning, growing, and stepping closer to understanding humans." Her thoughts lingered on the calm way humans had handled the crisis, their determination, and the way they encouraged others. She realized that being strong wasn't just about muscles. It was about courage, patience, and the ability to stay focused even when everything seemed impossible. She She looked around the hall one last time, watching humans chatting and laughing, their energy and persistence inspiring everyone around them. That night, Zira lay in her cabin, exhausted but awake. She could feel every muscle, every tendon, every joint protesting after the long day, but she didn't feel discouraged. Instead, she felt motivated. She knew that if she kept observing humans, learning from them, and practicing, she could achieve more than she ever thought possible. Humans had a way of turning pain into strength, discomfort into learning, and fear into action. Zira wanted to embody some of that resilience for herself. As the artificial lights dimmed, the station quieted. Marcus made his rounds, checking on cadets and ensuring that everyone was safe. He paused outside Zira's cabin, noticing her deep in thought. He smiled to himself, knowing that she had experienced the first real lesson humans could teach: endurance through mind, body, and spirit. Outside, the stars shimmered against the blackness of space. The station floated steadily, repaired and secure, a testament to human ingenuity and teamwork. Zira thought about the day, the asteroid, and the humans who had calmly guided everyone through danger. She could still feel the soreness in her body, but now she understood the value of persistence, courage, and clever thinking. By the time she finally drifted into sleep, Zira was no longer just an alien cadet struggling with training. She had taken her first real step toward becoming stronger, more capable, and more resilient. Humans had shown her that endurance was not simply a physical attribute. It was a combination of heart, mind, and spirit. She dreamed of the day she would face challenges without fear, moving with confidence, and maybe even surprising herself with what she could endure. And somewhere in the quiet corridors of the Interstellar Academy, Lieutenant Marcus Hale allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. The humans had done what they always did. They had survived, adapted, and inspired others to rise to their potential. Today had been another lesson in why humans were extraordinary. Zira's journey had only begun, but she already knew one truth: human endurance was more than physical. It was the courage to keep going, the patience to learn, and the cleverness to find solutions where others saw only problems. She could still feel the ache in her muscles, but for the first time, it was a reminder of growth, not weakness.